So.
Right, or went crazy on you and started twisting what it says. This one little phrase in the one little scripture that's talking something about the way people react, they took it as the gospel and said, this is what we're supposed to do because it says right here in scripture. Well, in the context, it's like, no, the context is different. And that's why it's important. That's why I love what Pastor says all the time. Context, context, context. So he's saying, they went out from us. And it amplifies it, seeming at first to be Christians, but they were not really of us, because they were not truly born again and spiritually transformed. For if they had been of us, they would have remained with us. They would have remained with us. I'm not saying nothing about that, even though I want to go on a rant on that. So.
What, the fact that you can't be saved and lost? Are you going to go there?
No, I don't want to go. If they had been saved, they would have stayed with us. I'm not going to go to any there and that. Because there's a lot of people, I'll go this way in a lighter version. Church hoppers. Maybe they are, maybe they ain't. Because obviously they're allowing the world to get offended, right?
They're allowing the world to get offended?
They're using the world's offense in the church to say, I don't agree with this, I don't agree with this, so I'm gone. So they're allowing the world influence as the offense to move on. And there's genuine times when God asks us to move. So that's why I didn't want to get into it too deep. But there is people that just like, well, I don't like the worship, I don't like the music, I don't like the pastor, I don't like, that person didn't look at me, that person didn't shake my hand, this person didn't do this, that person, so I'm offended, I'm going. And it's a worldly attitude instead of a Christ attitude. So there was a lot of that going on. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, something Joshua said up at Grace earlier in the year. He's the young Korean American pastor up at Grace. And he said, back in the first century when all this was written, you didn't go down the street to the other Presbyterian church, right, or to the other Baptist, right, church or whatever. You either got along or you got out.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on here. They either got along or they said something that everybody else said, that's not what Jesus said. Right. And they either said, okay, I'm taking my business elsewhere. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna set up my church of me in competition to you, which church of me.
Yeah. Right. Well, you can look at I'll say it. You look at the rainbow movement in the church today. That's what John's talking about. Well, it's okay now because God said loves everybody, so we must love them too and love us too. And it's like, yeah, but what do you do when it says where God says He condemns that movement? You can't go contrary. You can't take the one scripture out of context and go, see, He loves us. Well, He does. Just don't love what you're doing. So you're sinning, and Scripture's calling you out on it, but you're choosing to neglect and wipe that out.
Yeah, when Jesus loved the rich young ruler, He told him something he didn't want to hear.
Right.
And specifically said He loved him, and He told him something he didn't want to hear, and did make him, just as we said, walk away.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what He did after that. I don't know what He did.
Yeah, I don't know if we really got
I hope He came back. I really hope He came back.
Yeah.
But as you said, He...
But I think Scripture gets close enough to saying that he was grieved and disheartened because he asked him to sell everything, which pointed out that he had his heart in the world instead of into truly wanting to follow Christ. I have all these things. I have all this money. I have all these riches. I have all this great business going on, and Jesus tells me to sell it all and give to the poor, and I'm like,
gotta eat.
No, I'd rather keep my hands to the plow and look around at all the other stuff that I could be doing instead of just staying focused on where you want me to go, Christ. And that's what the rich ruler was like. I just would rather look good to the world instead of going, relying on you to keep enough on my plate instead of me having the silos full that if any time I want to go slaughter any of my herd, and that's where he was getting in trouble. And then he goes in 20. Let's go back up to 19. I'll start somewhere in the middle. For if they had been of us, they would not have remained with us.
They would.
They would have remained with us, but they went out teaching false doctrine. The church of me that you eloquently said. Well, if you don't agree with me, I'll just go start my own, and then